Megan.
Hey, Devon.
We're here, episode 1 of Hockey Style. You
I can't
excited?
believe we did it.
I can't believe we did it. Should we tell the story of how we ended up here? Who
I think
inspired us?
that's a great idea.
Is that
Yes,
just a great way to
let's
start?
get some face
So
info out there.
we'll get into who we are, but first, welcome to episode 1 of Hockey Style with Devon and Megan. We truly are so glad you're here, fans. So we appreciate you hanging with us, being part of our crazy hockey loving community. And we just hope that we'll share some great stories and get to know you all. We started this podcast off a random conversation with arguably the best hockey player ever born in the United States of America, Patrick Kane. So a little bit of a humble brag there, but Megan and I were at training camp, big fundraising event, lots of people all over trying to get autographs, trying to pull people in different directions, asking for things. As you can imagine, Patrick Kane walks into the room and he's swarmed by people. So we're just being normal, trying to talk about anything, the weather, Traverse City, all the things. And we were telling stories, and I think something just popped into my head. I'm like, we have so many stories between all of us. Wouldn't it be funny if we started a podcast and we have no listeners? It's probably just Megan and I and maybe a couple of our girlfriends who tune in. But Patrick, you could come on and we can just surprise everybody maybe 20 minutes in. Oh, we have a guest joining us today. Maybe you've heard of Patrick Kane. And he thought that was pretty funny. He's like, you should do it. So then a few months later, Megan and I thought, why don't we do it? If Patrick Kane said we can do it, we might actually be able to pull this off.
He was very supportive.
Here we are. So that had to be the first story I think we share on Hockey Style.
The story.
It is the story, our origin story, if you will. So
yes,
one day we'll have to tell him. So how are you, Megan? How was your day?
It's always the same, always work. Happy to be done. Happy to be talking about hockey. That's definitely a lot better than the average day. How about you?
I would agree, but I actually got to talk about hockey at work today. And for our listeners, I don't work in hockey. I work in the advertising marketing space. But we had a little office get-together called Wings and Wings, and it was talking about the Red Wings while everybody ate chicken wings. So love a theme. And they turned to me and said, Devon, give us the latest on the team. And it was actually, well, it was fun, but it was refreshing because at this point in the season where, the Red Wings are where they are, it's easy to, well, no,
I sugarcoat it?
I did not.
Did you get your pom-poms out?
For our listeners, Megan is definitely the realist between us, and I am definitely the glass half full innate cheerleader. But I didn't. You would have been proud of me. I was realistic, but I realized as I talked about all the prospects that we have in the pool, the rookies who have come up, the young guys that we got to see play together for the first time this year as Red Wings, Edvinsson, Casper, Soderblom, even Mo and Lucas, who now feel like they've been here for so long. They're still 23, right? 24. I started smiling and I realized I'm still so optimistic about the Red Wings, and this may not be our year, but it's going to be fun. The next few years are going to be fun.
It's funny how quickly, I don't really think about Edvinsson and Casper as new anymore. In my mind, I'm like, where's Danielson? Why couldn't we let him have a minute? There's just so many more people that I want. I forget that we did get a little bit this year, just not as much as I would have preferred.
Yeah, it would have been nice. Even we got Kosa for one game. Well, 2 if you count when he was backup. But yeah, I agree.
We've got there so good.
He looked great sitting there. But we will get into all the stories of the Red Wings. We want to be sure that on this podcast, though, it is specifically not called Red Wing style. It's hockey style because we are not just Red Wing super fans, but truly hockey super fans, specifically NHL. But we love our AHL teams, ECAHL teams. We're getting into the PWHL. So we really do want to talk all things hockey. So if you are here from a market outside of Detroit, we are so glad, and we look forward to talking more about your teams, arenas, players, etc. But today we're going to do things just a little bit different. So our normal format, just because we love a theme, is going to be 3 periods of content. The first period, Megan and I will catch up gives thoughts on the latest happenings in the world of hockey, more through the lens of the human stories, the interpersonal connection. Great example is one of our favorites, Lucas Raymond, just hit a milestone. He turned 23. He broke some crazy records. I think he's well over 70 points now. He's doing amazing things. You already know that. It's easy to find qualitative analytics and data on all kinds of podcasts. We want to talk about what that meant to Razor, knowing him from training camp a little bit, just the fact that he used to sign jerseys at the bottom. And we had to remind him, like, hey, you just signed a huge contract. You can sign up by Larkin and Kane now. And he's so humble to think, like, wait, I can sign up there. So just to see him hit those milestones, we feel like sometimes proud big sisters. So we'll cover stuff like that, stories like that. Then we're going to have, for the second period, guests from all over the industry, people who make the magic happen behind the scenes, who help shape the style of the teams, the arenas, of the hockey culture. Some of the unsung heroes doing things like selling tickets or lighting or creative, like they make the experience what it is, and we want to give them a place to tell their story. So we will have interviews with them. And then in the third period, Megan and I will share some of our takeaways, some of the things we learned and we were excited to hear about. And of course, because it's hockey style, share a hockey style tip. But today, Megan, do you want to tell them who our first guests are?
Well, because we want to make sure you know all about us, it is just us. We're going to do a little interview of each other.
You may be hearing wah wah. But I thought if you're going to hang out with us once a week, you might as well know a little bit more about the ladies who are behind the voices of hockey style. So let's do it. Let's jump right in, Megan.
Okay, sounds great. You want me to go with the first one?
Okay, pressure's on. I'll see what I can do.
Our first one's a little softball, a little easy. Obviously, you're a huge hockey fan, have been your whole life. What's your earliest hockey memory, and how did you fall in love with the game?
Ooh, that's such a good question. So I know our stories are a little bit different, how we got into the sport. I sort of didn't have a choice. I was born into a hockey family. I'm the oldest sibling. I have a younger brother, 4 years younger, as you well know.
Really?
Who also, fun fact, is dating Megan. So we have this fun connection that you'll hear more about as episodes progress. But I was the firstborn, and my dad was already a hockey coach. He just loved the sport so much. He coached some of our cousins, and so I had, coach's daughter onesies and the whole thing. Also, before my brother came along, I have a distinct memory of my mom and dad taking me to Joe Louis Arena, the Joe. And at that time, the arena's safety wasn't as important, I guess, as it is today, right? So the glass was much lower. They didn't have the nets around the back of the just to keep pucks from flying into the stands. So in between periods, my dad carried me down to the ice. And at the time, this was like, not to age myself, but a few decades back, there was
just a couple.
Just a few decades back, Mike Ilitch had introduced a mascot. He wanted to give the people of Detroit a mascot for the Red Wings. He was called the Winger. He was a big red bird, big beak, the whole thing, lots of feathers, very of the time period if you Google him. My dad carried me down, waved to the Winger, who skated over, handed me up. The Winger grabbed me from over the glass, and I was just, I don't know, maybe 4 years old, maybe not even, skated me around the ice as I waved like the Queen of England to all of Hockeytown. And I was so young, but I have this memory of being on the ice and just, I guess, kind of catching that energy of like, Detroit is Hockeytown for so many reasons. We live and breathe hockey, and that energy that we bring into the arena, it's palpable. And so I kind of caught that bug at a young age. And my mom was in the back of the stands looking like, oh boy, is that my daughter on the ice with a giant red bird? Should I be concerned right now? So yeah, that's my earliest memory.
That is amazing.
So Megan, I know you grew up upstate New York and you had some hockey exposure, but tell us about that and tell us when you really caught the Detroit hockey bug.
Yeah, so for me, getting into hockey and watching hockey didn't happen until about 2009. And it was just the relationship I was in at the time. Really involved into it. We were still in upstate New York, so my earliest Red Wing memories are all courtesy of NHL Center Ice. So, 2009 was kind of a rough time to start. That's when everything kind of started to go downhill, but I loved it. Watched it every time it was on. And eventually knew at one point I'd be moving to Michigan. And it was just kind of funny coming here because I already knew all the commercials. I already knew all the things because I had watched so much Center Ice. But yeah, it just started going to games. My first game, of course, at the Joe. I don't think there's anything that is or was quite like the Joe. Such a great atmosphere. I think I moved here in 2012 and started out with a half season and then jumped into a full and went to every single game. So yeah, it just I don't know, it's just infectious. It just gets into your system and you have to go. So I did have the benefit of seeing a few playoff games at the Joe before we stopped doing that. So yeah, the intense energy of that, you can't beat it. Can't wait to
And
get back to it.
I will vouch for you, Megan, because being a born and raised Metro Detroiter, um, I know a lot of people who call themselves super fans of hockey, of the Red Wings, but you take it to another level. I think that first time you walked into the Joe, something took over you. And I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not exaggerating when I say she has a Joe Louis Arena trash can in her basement.
Oh, I do.
She has two, excuse me.
You shouldn't talk about it like that. It's also a dinner table.
Oh my gosh. We have so many stories. If we went down the path of all of them, this episode would be 5 hours. But the good news is we can do this once a week and you can tell the story of how you have come to own all of these cool pieces of the Joe. But truly, Megan, you are you bleed Detroit, right? Like you are such a great representative of what Detroit Hockey Town is all about.
I think most people don't know that I am not a Detroit born and raised.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. We'll make you show your Red Wings tattoo later.
I'll do what I can.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we're certainly glad you ended up here because that, of course, is how I met you. The Red Wings and hockey brought us together.
Yes. All right. So we'll start this off in a specific way because if you have ever met Devon, you know that she loves a goalie. Ooh. So we need to know why goalies and what to you makes them the most interesting players to follow.
Yes. Okay. Great question because our listeners may have heard, right? Goalies are weird. I have a few thoughts on that. First off, I too am weird. I think most people are weird, but the weirdest people I know are also some of the best people I know. They keep things interesting. So there is that unique aspect to the goalie mind that has always intrigued me. But I think it started because being in a hockey family, going to my brother's games every single weekend, I was sort of the age where I was a little bit older than the other siblings that were there playing together, and I wasn't about to hang out in center ice with all the hockey parents. So I found myself oftentimes sitting at the edge of the bleachers, right on the goal line. So I spent a lot of time just observing goaltenders, and I grew up in the performing arts, not at all as a hockey girl. I'm sure I had the option, but I chose dance, and I was good with that. And just looking at the flexibility of goalies who really took it seriously, and they were doing some of the things that we were doing in ballet, and it was impressive to me that they're part of this team, but they have all these other aspects of their job that they have to be so good at it in order to succeed. And then as I got older and really started to watch goalies, I grew up loving Eddie Belfour, Eddie the Eagle from Chicago. Mike Richter was another one of my favorites. Patrick Waugh. I always thought how interesting it was that when their teams won, they were the first player to get a shout out and a thank you, and everyone's like, the goalie was awesome. But then if the team lost, it's all like, well, goaltending, blah, blah, blah. So it's just so much pressure on that goalie who's part of a team, but also on an island. And the skill and discipline that you have to succeed both physically and mentally is extraordinary. And if I ever did play hockey, I'd like to think that I would have been a goaltender.
wow. I think that is a super interesting perspective, and it definitely reminds me of watching Peter Mrazek on stage early in his career when he still was with the Red Wings, and they started talking, and the statement was made, "Goalers are weird," and he, with the straightest face ever, said, "I'm not weird."
Oh, little
Am I
Mrazek.
weird?
Who would have guessed
He
he'd
might
be
be.
back with
He
us
might be.
again?
I
Well,
know. Who would have ever
the
guessed
fact that you
So
asked.
funny. So funny.
That's cute. So, Megan, you are less tied to a single position in terms of favoritism. You really,
sure.
you like different teams, different lines, certainly different players because you appreciate different qualities. But if I took a, 1,000-foot view back, I guess, of your list of favorites, there are a couple commonalities, if you will, and they're kind of funny. So a lot of the goalies I like, I would classify as not underdogs, but guys who've not, they're not your starting goalie. They've had something to prove. They've had to work really hard to get to where they are. You have a lot of players on your list who are not first liners, not second liners, not even third liners. In some cases, they may not have even made the team. They may be playing for the NHL or the AHL, or they're over in the KHL. So first, I'm curious, what is it about those guys? And do you have a few examples you can share?
It's a lot to think about. Yeah, I usually go for the lesser known guys because, I am also weird. I don't want to conform and be like everybody else. Like, of course, like when I started watching, of course, everyone loves Zetterberg. Of course, everyone loves Datsuk, and I do too. But they don't really need my attention. They're good. I think more of the obscure players, especially for the Red Wings, came through training camp and getting to meet them when they were younger and having interactions and conversations, and maybe there's a way to connect that way. And if you don't already know, my absolute favorite player is Evgeny Svechnikov, not the Svechnikov you're thinking of if you're not a big Red Wings fan. It is his brother, his older brother, who currently plays in the KHL. He never actually made the Wings team. He had some injuries and some problems, and eventually ended up with the Winnipeg Jets, where he was initially signed by the Manitoba Moose, and he did so well in camp, he made the team. So good, perfect. Um, Ended up, for whatever reason, coaching changes in Winnipeg that year. Ended up with the Sharks for a season. Um, was fun there. He's a fan favorite. If he's played for your team, you probably did know who he was and thought he was pretty fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's just those guys that have intriguing stories and or that I got to interact with. Sometimes it'll be something small. Obviously, even though he's not Evgeny, I do like Andre as well, and really kind of fell in love with Pyotr Kochekov when he came over and became Svech's little buddy, and Svech was doing all the translating for him, and now he's doing so well and is just so fun and entertaining. So it's just someone who's got a little bit more intrigue and is maybe a little bit more of a mystery than your mainstream guys.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And if I dare say, that was one of the reasons we became such good friends so fast. I think we kind of bonded over that because we were both like, wait, what jersey are you collecting? Who are you? Like we both really like these underdogs, and I hate to use that term because they're clearly extremely talented players, but they're not your Patrick Kanes. No. Which reminds me of the time, I think it was your birthday last year. I gave you 2 custom like beer glasses, and it was a list of like her favorite players that she was collecting at the time. Like, and when I say collecting, for people who aren't in the hobby, it's just striving to find their game worn jerseys, gear, that type of thing. And it was all of these relatively small known or like fourth line players, and then Patrick Kane. And I gave it to her, and she's like, "This is awesome, Patrick Kane and all of the hooligans," or something. Oh no, it was Patrick Kane and his crew of misfits.
There we go. Yeah,
that was it. It was very cute, but
yes,
yeah. But they're all very talented. Clearly, they still made it to the pros. So it's all relative, right? But I'm with you. We see enough. No offense, but we see plenty of Dylan Larkin jerseys every time we go to Little Caesars Arena. It's fun to be the only one with an old Svechnikov or an Alex Lyon, right?
I actually don't have a Svechnikov to wear. Isn't that sad? I should work on that.
Yeah, because you have Svech from
let me rephrase. I do not have a Svechnikov Red Wings jersey to wear. I have Jets and Sharks because that makes tons of sense, right?
Yes. Which, let me tell you, listeners, she still wears. I get a little miffed when I see we're all dressed in Red Wings ready to cheer our team on, and there's Megan in her Sharks jersey or her Winnipeg Jets jersey.
So good, though. They're so nice.
Yeah. Well, I meant it when I said we're just NHL fans in general, right?
For sure.
For
sure.
Do you have another question?
I sure do. You know I do. Maybe just to piggyback off this a tiny bit. Another thing that you may know about Devon, her favorite player, is Alex Lyon. Can you tell me how that happened? What it is about Alex Lyon and how that fandom has evolved over time?
Oh, wow. You mean I don't really enjoy talking about Alex Lyon? No, I'm just kidding. How much time do we have, Megan? Shall I start from birth? No, I'm just kidding.
Not as much as you might think.
I'll try to keep it brief. Everything I talked about previously as to why I admire goaltenders, I find in Alex Lyon times 1,000. And if you are not a listener who is familiar with Alex, he is currently our second string goalie. He was our starter for most of last year for a number of reasons and did great. But he is somebody who, throughout his NHL career, has been up and down from NHL to AHL and never really seemed to find get his chance is the best way to put it. And for a number of reasons and factors, largely who else was on the team, who he was playing behind, A-listers like Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida, right? So really pretty cool that he ended up on the Red Wings. I became a fan of his. I was embarrassingly during COVID times when we were all just looking for content to engage with. It was either do a puzzle, have a Zoom happy hour, or go on YouTube. I was looking at goalie videos, and I somehow came across Philadelphia Flyers AHL affiliate, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and Alex Lyon was tasked by probably the social media team to put together what they called the Bubba blog. And at the time, the team was in Toronto, sort of in lockdown and quarantine in a hotel, training and, doing what they could during a time where hockey was very much up in the air. And he was so witty and had such a great positive outlook on life, on the sport, didn't take himself too seriously, and just had me laughing out loud, which says a lot, because usually when I'm watching something, I'm one of those people who goes, that's funny. But I actually was physically laughing, and I thought, okay, I got to see this guy in action. He's pretty cool. Then I watched him and thought, wow, he actually is a tremendous player and really has skill. When he is on, he is so dialed. But he went from Lehigh Valley Phantoms, got to play for the Flyers for a little bit. After a few years, it just didn't work out there for him. So he was traded to Carolina, where he mostly played that season with their AHL affiliate, the Chicago Wolves, who we both love. Megan's got the Wolves jersey behind her. And he was phenomenal. His team that year won the Calder Cup for the AHL. So he was a champion. And the fun fact is our other favorite goalie, Pyotr Kochetkov, was on the team with him. So that's how I became a fan of Pyotr. And then he went on to Florida, where at the time, the 22-23 season, the Florida Panthers were not looking like they were even going to make playoffs. Sergei Bobrovsky goes down with an injury. He's out, and things looked bleak. Alex Lyon, backup goalie, comes in, and within, I believe it was a 9-game span, turns things around for the team, gets them into playoff contention, and they go on to the 22-23 finals. So I actually have one of those jerseys or patches. I'm looking for a jersey. If any listeners know where I can get one, I have the patch, need the jersey. At the time, I told my husband, all right, we gotta get tickets to Florida. I don't even care if they're playing the Wings. I want to go down, see a game, get some sun. And then last couple of days of July, 2023, we announced that the Red Wings had signed Alex Lyon. I never thought it would happen. So I immediately called our not our authentic store, our team store to order a jersey. He wasn't even on the roster yet. They're like, okay, take a beat. We don't have his name to give you yet. But so yeah, the rest is kind of history. It has been such a treat to actually get to watch him, to see him at events, to get to hang out with him a little bit at training camp. So it's been very cool too to see what he was able to contribute to the Red Wings at a very critical time in our team's development. I wish him tons of luck.
For sure. And
so that was kind of a long story.
Media content. He's hilarious.
Oh, the best. Yeah. Very funny guy.
All right.
Megan, you have favorites. I know. I've already mentioned a few. You talked about Evgeny. I like to say Evgeny, but Evgeny Svechnikov. And you mentioned that he is also one of those players who didn't quite make it in Detroit, but went on to see success elsewhere. He's doing great things now in the KHL. That's a story. How did you meet him? And what about him made you say, all right, this is a guy I'm going to support. I want to follow his career?
Well, that is definitely a training camp story. Every year they used to have a golf outing that I would also volunteer for. Just kind of did the, Vanna White type, pairs closest to the pin type things on the golf course. And there was always a dinner afterwards, which I would usually attend and help out any way I could, whatever was going on. But usually I'd get sat at a table that included players. And being just running around, I'd always be late. And for whatever reason, the seat that was always open was a seat next to a player. Sure. So one year, it was Evgeny Svechnikov, and he hadn't golfed. He's not a golfer. It's pretty funny. I was like, I didn't see you out there today. He's like, yeah, that's not for me. Fair enough. Me either.
That's funny. Usually hockey players are really good golfers.
Yeah. At that time, he was not. Maybe he's picked it up now. You never know. But he's like, no. It's like, oh. So we're just sitting there having dinner, and I mean, really, nobody really talks or interacts with him. So he's just kind of a guy. I don't think he was. It wasn't his first year, but he's still real young. Because this was years ago, and I was like, you know what, forget it. Like, I'm just gonna talk to him. I'm gonna ask him whatever I want to ask him. And he was really, really great to talk to, and he was fun to ask questions too, because I got to ask him things like, well, you had the opportunity to see the Joe. What do you like better, the Joe or Little Caesars? And he talked about that. Asked him how his brother was doing, and he loved talking about that. I mean, he really, truly is just an energetic, engaging, fun guy. He's great to talk to. And that's kind of how we connected, and I got to know him better. And honestly, I didn't get into collecting his gear until he left. I didn't have a single thing until he was gone. And then it was like, well, it's now or never. And that just opened the floodgates, and now it's all here. If I die, somebody call him.
Megan and I joke that if either of us dies, we have to get in contact with Evgeny Svechnikov and or Alex Lyon and ask them if they want their crap back.
He might not care at all, but just to make sure he gets a shot at it.
Yeah, do you want this? Is there anything here you care about? That's really funny. I'm sure he was delighted to have a fun fan who didn't want anything from him, just wanted to offer support. And
although he was adorable. It was the year that we had signed Bernier, and for whatever reason, I was really wound up about that. I just was so excited to have him, and he did not golf either. So I was sort of disappointed that I didn't get to meet him or see him that way. And at some point towards the end of the night, I just looked at Evgeny, and I was like, oh, my God, is Bernier here? And he just goes, yeah, he's somewhere. And he went and found him and got him so he could take a picture with me.
Oh, real people.
And he took the picture. Yeah, it was so sweet. He did not
Hockey
have to
players are people too.
Yeah, it was so sweet. He didn't have to do any of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And as much as we love to talk about our favorite players, teams, arenas, I hope we don't fool you into thinking that we aren't also as passionate about the game. Megan, one of my favorite things about her is watching the unexpected bystander in the arena try to explain something about hockey to her, and boy, just watching her little smile turn and show them exactly what's up. It's the best game in the world, and I think the fun personalities that we love just are the cherries on top, because they add the spice to the game we're already addicted to.
For sure. All right. Well, do you want to shift gears for a second?
Let's do it.
Okay. You have a very specific game day style. Includes skirts, dresses, and handmade signs. What inspired that, and how does it impact your game day experience?
Oh, my game day experience. This is a fun one. When Megan and I were debating about what to call the podcast, we had all these like fun, fancy names like Ford Checks and Fit Checks, which we thought was quite punny because we wanted to talk an equal amount about the actual game as well as the style element. But we landed on hockey style for a number of reasons. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, it's because it's sort of all encompassing. It can be literal style, like you just asked. How do I show up and show my team spirit? To arena styles, player styles, line styles. Why are Kat and Kane, Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat, peanut butter and jelly? Like, what is that synergy all about? So we hope that throughout our episodes, style is a theme that carries through, but in a variety of ways. So to answer your question about literal style, I have been, funny enough, I hate to use this term, but like a girly girl my whole life. And however you like to present your gender, I just am dresses and skirts all day long, including probably when I should just be wearing jeans and hooded sweatshirts like normal fans. But no, I have a wide variety of red and white dresses and sequins items and jewelry and statement earrings that I like to wear to Red Wings games, mostly because that's just who I am. But I think it's funny because people started to recognize me. Like, they're like, oh, you're the one who always has like the big bow in their hair or like, the rhinestone sneakers. Which is also another reason Megan and I became friends. We spotted each other with matching hair bows. Uh, I wouldn't say it like enhances the actual game day experience for me, other than the fact that people talk to you when you look enthusiastic, when you look like you're there supporting the team, smiling, like you're optimistic. People feed off that energy. So I can't tell you the number of people at Little Caesars Arena who work security or as ushers or as bartenders who, now I walk by and they're like, Devin, what's up? And I know about them and their family vacations and their kids and, all the things. And that enhances the experience and certainly what I would say is the personality of Little Caesars.
For sure. For sure. So, and I think some would argue that Little Caesars needs to, ramp up that personality. So we're glad you're there to help with that.
Yeah, in some respects we do it so well in Detroit with just the actual layout of the arena, the way we've taken like Olympia, the Red Wings' first arena, and put that signage in there. We made the hallway look like an exterior corridor with brick walls. It's really quite beautiful. But then Megan and I visit other arenas and we're like, oh man, I wish we had this aspect or this cool branding, and lots of episodes to come on that.
For sure. I'm currently living for Columbus.
Yes, yes. Anyway. So, Megan, I alluded to the fact that when we became friends, it was like partly because we spotted each other. We kept seeing each other shopping at the team store in very similar, like, what would you call it, statement outfits.
For sure.
We both love a big hair bow.
I'm not brave enough for the skirts. I do occasionally. I'm so worried I'm going to be cold that I usually go for my leggings. I can't help it. But as long as for quite a while now, always a hair bow. Got to have the hair bow, and that is definitely one of the things we connected on. It's how we recognized the the kindred spirits.
Kindred hockey spirits who know as much about hockey as hair accessories.
I'm usually leggings and a jersey just because I don't want to be cold.
Yes, fair. You're a very little person. You run cold. Tell us about your shoe game because it's pretty epic. So you've gotten into painting shoes.
Yes. I did do custom paint on just some white Air Force Ones of some Wings logos, and that was a lot of fun. And the second I have more time, I want to do some more pairs. I think it'd be really fun to do like a pair with all of my favorite teams, and just everyone's going to yell at me at the Red Wings games, but that's okay. Yeah.
Just a friendly reminder that I have a pair in my garage that looks very empty.
Oh, no. Well, we're the same size, so they might disappear one way or the other.
I know, right. No, somebody asked me, a friend of ours recently, our hairstylist, which now is the same person.
Yeah.
Shout out to AJ.
Yeah, AJ.
AJ asked me if who was more creative because I go, well, I think we're both really creative, but I think Megan might actually be more skilled between your hand painting capabilities and your actual sewing technique. Like you win there, but I'm an idea woman.
That's true. I agree for sure. I can execute, but you make the plan.
Oh my gosh. Well, together we're unstoppable. Look out, world. It's only episode 1.
Okay. So we talked a little bit for a second about the signs, but what's the best reaction you've ever gotten from a player because of a sign you've made?
Oh boy. So the sign situation also became something I guess I was sort of recognized for in hockey arenas. And I have to give a shout out to my mom because she started this whole sign thing back when my little brother was playing hockey like crazy. He was a defenseman and he was like on the smaller side for a defenseman. And as they got older, they kept saying, "Hey, sure you don't want to play forward?" He's like, "Heck no." And he was so good at defense, like never afraid to get into the boards, never afraid to go low. He was doing all the things and he was fast too. So my mom and I used to make defense signs where I would have like a giant letter D and she would have like a white picket fence cut out of construction paper or cardboard. And it always got a good reaction from the team. Like I think they got kind of amped up when they saw that. So in my professional viewing world, my husband and I would just go to games like incrementally. Then I was taking clients a lot, and I finally was like, honey, we should just get like a couple packages. So we started with like 5-game packages, then 10-game packages, and finally we're like, we just need to get season tickets. So I tried for my first year to have a new sign for every single game. That was a challenge. I have ideas, but not that many. Particularly because I mostly did goaltender signs. I did a lot of Alex Lyon. The Lion pun works in so many ways. Roar for 34 was one of my favorites. But my favorite sign that I made that got the most notice was not by a specific player, but by the legendary, I guess you could say, he's still a player at heart, Mickey Redmond. It was 2023 and the first time the Detroit Lions were definitely making it into the playoffs. That day, there was a Lions game and a Red Wings game back-to-back in downtown Detroit, so the city was buzzing. I went to the game with a big sign that said, "Cheer of the day, let's go Lions," spelled Lyon, little s, like Alex Lyon's last name. And I didn't think much of it. I held it up. It got some cheers. I think it made it on the Jumbotron. But when we got home that night, just as we were like taking care of our dogs and whatnot, we threw the game on to listen to Mickey and Ken Daniels' commentary. And they did a whole segment where they were talking about this sign and they kept flashing it. And, Mickey Redmond with his jolly laugh was just like, "Ho, ho, ho, we know what she means by lions." And I was like crying tears of joy because Mickey Redmond is like my number one hero in life. So that definitely takes the cake.
That's a good one for sure.
Yes. I know you're not as much of a sign girl, but you do have a theory that if you cheer, it's because the team has earned it. Like they've proved themselves to you.
Sure. I've only done one sign, and we can save that for another episode.
Are you sure? It was pretty good.
I mean,
share it.
One. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was one, but it was pretty good.
The one sign was, just a couple weeks ago. You really wanted to do something for Andrei Svechnikov since I can't go to Russia and hold up a sign
for his brother.
So I was lucky enough to have a gentleman in Russia who gave me the proper Russian translation for a sign that said, "Hey, Svech, tell your brother I said hi." So in Russian, it was challenging. I don't usually make signs, so I'm making a sign in Russian. But got it there, snuck it in, which was a challenge for me, never having done it before because it was a little oversized, just breaking all the rules. Just went down to the glass and got to hold it up for Svech, and he was very, very sweet. And, once the time was right, a little acknowledgement and skated over and took a quick picture. So best I could have ever hoped for, and probably one of the only signs I'll ever do. So, yeah that's my one sign.
It was
in
beyond
Russian.
sweet. Andre skated over and like posed really close to the glass and did a few angles. And I was the photographer, so I'm like my hand shaking, like, do not screw this up for Megan. It's the one sign she's ever made. But I think I did okay. So if you're interested in seeing the photo, you can follow us for daily updates on our crazy hockey lives on Instagram at Hockey Style Podcast. And the exact photo is posted there.
It sure is. And is the video of me being ridiculous there as well?
I kept that just for you.
Oh,
maybe as we get to know our listeners better, we'll overshare that one.
That sounds good. Okay. So this one's another one that's very geared towards you. What is the best goalie performance you've ever seen live?
This one's tough for me because probably the real answer to that question was something from my youth when I was fortunate enough to see one of the greats, maybe Hasek, probably. But I will say like the most meaningful, impressive performance for me was, again, because it was a complete surprise and delight moment. My brother is not in town often for work, like because of work. And I knew he was going to be in town the night before Thanksgiving in 2023. So I said, hey, let's get Red Wings tickets. So we got our 3 tickets at the time. He didn't have the lovely girlfriend yet. So it was just me, my husband, and my brother. And I got a great deal on front row tickets right behind our net where the away team shoots twice, which I always call it where we're in net twice because, that's important to me. And it ended up being, I had no idea what about the tickets, the very first time Alex Lyon would play as a Detroit Red Wing at home. Prior to that, he had only played as a Red Wing. He started his first game in Sweden. Yep, Megan was there. That's another story. So that game, I mean, we didn't play like crazy spectacular. It was against the New Jersey Devils, but Alex got a shutout. So you can imagine to sit that close, already being excited that I'm getting to see this guy play in person at Little Caesars Arena in a Red Wings sweater for the first time in my life, and he gets a shutout, and I am the closest person to the net. I just don't think anything could ever top that. So I may be a little biased, but I have to go with that story.
Fair enough.
So you have so many hockey memories. Like, it's almost unfair to just be like, what was your favorite game? Because you've been to so many, like I just said, Sweden. So I'm going to change the question a little bit back to you. Knowing that you've been overseas, you've been to 2 or 3 outdoor games between Winter Classic, Stadium Series. What was your favorite special event game that you got to go to?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that. I have a very specific moment that really is nothing special, but it's very memorable. But outdoor game memory. I mean, it definitely the Winter Classic. That was my first outdoor game. That was an incredible game. The atmosphere, everything. Was
that the one that was freezing?
Yes. I was there so early that day because I had stayed in town the night before, so there was no travel. So we were in there the minute everything opened, and just the magic of that day, getting into the big house, and it had snowed so much. There was at least 6 inches of snow on the bench, and just like clearing the snow off of your seat, and you got your little seat cushion that day. They were part of the game, and just watching the game, that was such a great atmosphere. I mean, say what you want, but like the Toronto fans were really fun. We were all kind of intermixed, and it was snowing during the game, and I mean, you just really kind of can't beat that kind of energy and atmosphere. And it was absolutely freezing cold. I'll never forget the joke of the day was, oh, it's Pavel Datsyuk outside, because it was 13 degrees. So that's probably my favorite outdoor game memory for sure. It was the first time experiencing it, and it was really an incredible game. We almost won.
This is how we know you're diehard, because you run so cold. Like, we keep my husband runs super hot. So it's usually like between 68 and 70. And she comes in and immediately puts on like 3 sweaters, asks where the blanket is. So like, you can imagine if she's saying that was fun, diehard.
I was prepared that day. I was ready. I was ready for it.
You were ready. I did not know that you had another favorite hockey game moment teed up. Do you want to share that one?
You'll hate it. You'll hate every moment of it.
Oh,
it was
no.
in the gondola at Little Caesars Arena.
Okay, I have vertigo and have watched one game in the gondola. Never again. For people who haven't been to Little Caesars Arena, if you look straight up to the rafters, there's essentially what I would call a bridge, and you just look straight down onto the ice. And it is not for people with vertigo. Okay.
It is an incredible view.
Continue your story, Megan.
It's amazing. And this is not a special moment. It's not anything. It's just being up there, standing, watching for a few minutes. And it was one of Patrick Kane's earlier games. And just watching him from that angle, just the magic, just him working everyone over. I've never, seen anything like that. It was just a beautiful example of why he's one of the best in the world. And it was just, I'll never forget it. And I did actually have the pleasure of telling him how much I enjoyed, watching that, and how grateful I am that we did get to have him for however long he's here, however long he's with us. In my mind, he's always a Blackhawk, but I'm so grateful for the time that we've gotten. It's been amazing.
Yes. That's pretty cool. You got to tell him that too. I'm sure he was tickled.
No one ever tells him how great he is.
No, but that's sweet. All the same, you mean it authentically.
That is true. All right. Let's see. So of all the things that we collect, jerseys, gear, we haven't even really touched on the hockey cards. That's the thing that we do. What is your favorite piece that you have?
By the way, I did not get these questions in advance, so I have to think in real time, so you all get to hear my organic reaction. That's a tough one, but I have to say it's probably my Lion Detroit Red Wings pads, because they were the first ones he ever had as a Red Wing, and I did not expect to get them. But when they came to me, I fell over. Literally, I wish I was exaggerating, but I am a little dramatic.
There.
Megan was there. I fell onto the ground, and I wouldn't look at them because I was just like, those are really the first ones he ever wore. Oh my God. And so that was just really, really special. But I do have some cool pieces from his collection specifically, just that are milestone moments, like his game worn jersey from men's worlds, IIHF last spring in the Czech Republic. There's some cool. I have the jersey he was wearing when he won the Calder Cup with Chicago Wolves. So it's really hard to choose, I will say. And Megan's collection is about 100 times larger than mine, so I don't even know. I will ask you the same question. Can you even choose a favorite piece?
It's really hard to choose a favorite piece. Yeah. And so much of my stuff is just very, very, very sentimental. I don't think anyone in the world will ever want it besides me and maybe some of their mothers. But I do have an attachment. I'm not even really a puck person, but I do have, they're both Red Wings goal pucks, and one is Evgeny's and one is Andre's. And it's just kind of fun to have those together because I feel like it's probably a rarer thing. But I would probably have to really sit down and look to actually pinpoint the specific thing that's my favorite, because there's just so much. There's definitely, the dream piece out there that, I just someday would love to get something out of Russia. That he wore. It doesn't matter if it's AK bars or a torpedo, just one of them would be incredible. I can't even imagine.
Yes. Well, who knows? Maybe when we get past our first dozen listeners, maybe someone in Russia will, hey, we have a couple of ladies in our Instagram following from Russia. Maybe they will watch. Maybe. And you never know. I like to think of them as like the us of Russia.
I do. I think that's adorable.
All I've done is message her once, but I was like, oh, we're the same. We got it.
So cute.
Yeah. So, all right.
This is a fun one for you, too. If you could design a custom goalie mask, what would be on it?
This is another one you'd think I'd have like my answer ready to go, but I've only ever dreamt of like being able to get my hands on an NHL worn by one of my favorite players masks. So to have my own that I could design that'd be pretty cool. I am a huge dog lover and have been mom to some pretty awesome dogs in my time. I currently have two Pomskis. They're called half Pomeranian, half Husky. One is named Pavel for Pavel Datsuk. Actually, Pavel Alexander, but we'll let you guess at what the middle name was for. And then the other is Preston for like Lord Stanley of Preston, the originator of the Stanley Cup. Most people just go with Stanley, but I like Preston's a little sophisticated. So I definitely would have to have the Pomskis on there. I think rather
that's perfect.
Prominently.
Yes.
Maybe something to allude to my dancing background, pair of point shoes or some musical notes. And then definitely a montage of Detroit. I think Detroit is so cool. And when I travel for business and I get in an Uber coming out of the airport, people always, the driver always says, "Where are you from?" And Detroit. And they immediately, "Oh, you must be glad to be out of there. It's so cold." Or, "Oh, has it gotten any better?" And I'm like, "Oh, how much time do we have? Let me tell you why Detroit is the coolest city and why you need to come visit." So I would do some sort of Detroit skyline.
Perfect.
Yeah.
For sure.
You are not as much of a goalie gal,
no.
But I'd say you probably have like 3 that you keep on your list of favorites.
For sure. Yeah, there's some out there that I think are adorable.
Piotr, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
I do.
Devon Levi.
I do love Devon Levi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucas Dolstall. Look at me doing so well with your goalie list.
The poor people sitting next to me at the last Anaheim game when I was talking about Lucas, and it was definitely confusing for them because I was not talking about our Lucas.
About Raymond. Yeah, that's the other thing about us. We really do love to just use first names, which probably is very confusing and
very
unusual,
weird.
But that is us.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
What if you had a mask? What would you put on it?
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I don't really, it's not really something I've ever considered, but I will say that I felt like the Rochester Americans had someone who dipped into my brain and designed a Valentine's Day hockey jersey that I couldn't have done any better myself. So, yeah, that's definitely one that's on my list, too, to hopefully maybe someday get a hold of because it's everything that maybe some people would think is wrong, but it's just pink and red and hearts, and I love everything about it.
Megan loves hearts. I love stars. So it works. We don't have to fight over the heart content. But it was really funny because we were talking about our brand for Hockey Style and what color should it be. Well, since 90% of everything we own has red in it, it goes without saying that we needed some sort of red and white element. But I said, how about ice blue? Like Megan did this really cool creative background for us that was like an ice, you'll see it in our thumbnail images. Like ice blue works great with red. And she goes, yeah, but what about pink? I'm like, okay. How about like twice a year you can do like a content takeover so you'll all know when Megan's in charge because it's going to be hot pink and red and there will be lots of hearts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pink and red. And
that's
like
all
Valentine's Day are up everywhere. Yes. That's what it's like inside my head.
Oh, well, time flies when we're having fun.
For sure.
Want to do one more question and we'll do a quick wrap up?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What should we do last?
You pick.
I think that we should do the one thing that you think people should appreciate or understand about being a female hockey fan.
That is a phenomenal question. One reason we wanted to start Hockey Style with Devon and Megan is to create a community of like-minded superfans who care about the human aspect of the game, but where we could also connect with other ladies who love the sport. Oftentimes I think people see us at the arena and don't assume that we know as much as we know or take us as seriously as maybe we'd like to be taken in some respects. So this is a safe place. This is a community where everybody has a hockey story to tell, and we can't wait to hear from all of you. And whether you're a professional in the sport or a super fan who just wants to come join us and chat and be a special guest to talk about why you are just as passionate about your team or the game at large, we'd love to have you. So I guess if I had to summarize, I'd say don't judge a book by its cover. The presence of women in hockey right now is at an all-time high in terms of visibility. The PWHL is doing tremendous things for raising awareness of incredible female athletes in the game. But then you look at the NHL and even having Jessica Campbell be the assistant coach of the Seattle Kraken and see her talk about the young girls who come to Seattle Kraken games and just look at her and can see somebody who they can identify with in a position of leadership. And all the reporters like Daniela Bruce, who we have in Detroit, or Shannon Hogan for the New York Islanders. There's so many female voices right now that I think it's a really exciting time to be a female hockey fan.
I agree.
I thought you might.
I do.
Which is why we became such good friends.
I honestly can't wait to hear from everyone, and nothing excites me more than hearing about teams' traditions and what makes them tick and what makes them special. So I can't wait to hear from everyone else. I feel like I'd love to share things about the Red Wings that people might not know. Like I just can't wait for that type of content. That's very exciting to me.
Agreed. I learn from you all the time. Like, just when I think I've heard it all, you bust out another story. I'll probably be like listeners, just like, man, that's so cool. I didn't know that. So, yeah. Anything I missed that you want to add?
No, I think we covered as much as we can and did what we could to try and be as basic as possible with the get to know you. But yeah.
Yes. Even though we are anything but basic, we are a little bit extra.
For sure.
You know that saying, like, before you leave the house, take off one accessory. Like, Megan and I are definitely like, throw one more on. Why not? Yeah. Life is short. So, okay. So that is essentially the second period, in which most of our episodes, it will be somebody with some level of expertise in the industry. And then we'll wrap things up with our takeaways. Obviously, we've done that already today.
For sure.
We will leave you with a style tip. So we do all kinds of crafty things. We don't like just going into the store and buying the same Red Wings hoodie that everybody else is wearing. So we try to spice it up with as much hockey that we attend. So do you want to share today's tip? Since it was your idea originally.
I am not the originator of this.
Really?
But, gosh, no. We do collect hockey cards, and I don't really know like where the thought process came from, but it's like, oh, how perfect would it be to just have a little hockey with me all the time? So on the back of my clear case phone, you can see there's my little Evgeny Svechnikov young gun. So everywhere I go, I have a hockey card and my favorite player.
I love the idea.
Know.
I love the idea. So you used to have like a completely clear case, so it was very visible. But you're fancying it up with the bows.
A little fancy for now. It'll probably change eventually, but yeah.
But the cool thing is, I'll show you mine. I have Alex Lyon, and it has a little bit of star. I told you I love stars, so I don't know if you all can see that, but he's surrounded by stars in my little case. So the fun thing about this is, if you want to customize your case, and it's hard to find cases that aren't either just like branded for your team or have your captain, right? Or like in our case, the Wings have a lot of like Mo Sider and Lucas Raymond, who we love, but wanting to support some of the other guys, a hockey card's a really cool way to do that. And you don't let us scare you. You don't have to become like hockey card collectors. That might be like diving into the deep end for some of you. If you're ever in the area of or near a hockey card store or just a card store, it's worth popping in, because a lot of collectors of cards will just open a pack and take the valuable cards, the inserts, and leave the base cards. Sometimes they'll sell them to you for like $1. Sometimes they'll give them to you. But you can go in, grab a couple, throw them in a sleeve, stick them in a case, and all of a sudden you have a custom, one-of-a-kind team phone. So why not? Just remember, if you are taking pictures during the game or you go down to warm-ups to take pictures, I sometimes forget that Alex Lyon is on my phone, and it can get a little bit awkward when I'm like, oh, yeah, that's you. Hi.
Everyone will know you're crazy.
Yeah, so well, at this point, they know. So in the best way. All the best people are, Megan. What did I say?
Oh, for sure. I'm absolutely nuts. No, just kidding.
Oh, my goodness. But in the best way. I think that people who are passionate about something, whatever it is, are interesting to me. So
for sure, absolutely, we love creative things like that. If you've got other ideas, we're here for it. For sure.
Actually, please share your other ideas.
Definitely.
We are so excited. Drop them in the comments. We would love, this is episode 1, and we're so glad you're here. If you would be so kind as to like and follow. We have no idea how the algorithms work, but we heard that that's helpful. And if you would like to see daily updates of just pictures of our life in hockey, again, follow us on Instagram at Hockey Style Podcast. And we will do our very best to entertain you and to be transparent and open and welcome you to our hockey style community. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much.